John, if that's the case, if both houses go to the Republicans, what will the relationship look like?
Well, it's going to be interesting. I think that hopefully we'll continue to do some things that will help move businesses forward, because I think it's really important, like bringing jobs back into this country as we did with the CHIPS Act, like investing in infrastructure, because I think we made a serious investment with the bipartisan infrastructure bill. But I think there's still more to be done. But you know, in the end, you know, this economy is clipping right along. That's where we're seeing the Fed doing what it's doing to help reduce inflation. But there are certainly some other things we can do. Job training is a big one. I think potentially working out how to make childcare more affordable will help put more people in the workforce. Those kind of things, hopefully, we'll be dealing with. But it is hard to say. You know, we may end up in a situation where people are being impeached and things like that. Hopefully that's not the case, because I think there's a lot of work to be done. And you guys know as well as I do, China's sitting there licking their lips. They'd love to be the economic leader in this world. They'd love to be the military leader in this world. So it is not a moment in time by which we can take our foot off the gas feed. We've got to make sure the economy continues to move forward in a responsible way, but not so hot that it creates the kind of inflation we're seeing now.
Senator, that's kind of a big question. You mentioned that the economy is strong, and as a result, the Fed is really having to do what it's doing, which is raising rates. Jay Powell has said there is going to be more economic pain to come. The problem is, if the government is looking at that and saying, OK, the way to do this is to spend more money to try and ease the pain, then those are inflationary measures. Those are things that are going to make the Fed's job even harder. Should you be moving in the same direction as the Fed? And what do you think about that?
So I think in the end, the stuff needs to be paid for. I don't think we need to be, you know, paying for programs based on national debt. And I think if programs are paid for, much like the Inflation Reduction Act was paid for, and we actually paid the debt down by $300 billion, I think that is a good format to use moving forward. And does the spending need to be more targeted than it has been the last couple of years? Yeah, absolutely. And we need to be aware not to do it too much. But the truth is, there are needs out there that I think most businesses will tell you are a problem. One of them is a well-trained workforce. There's not anybody that comes into my office that isn't looking for somebody to swing a hammer or run a welder or get more nurses into hospitals or docs on the ground in places like rural America. And so there's things we need to do to be able to encourage people to get trained up, because that will help business. But it needs to be very, very targeted towards that.
Do you think the money that's been spent to this point was excessive?
Look, I think it could have been pared back, but you know, you never want to let perfection be the enemy of the good. If you know, we cut $2,000 checks, which tended to be a bipartisan effort. As former president wanted that done, and it was done. You know, if I would not have advocated that to happen, because I don't necessarily think that that's needed to happen at that moment in time. But look, I end up voting for the bill, and the bill passed. But like I said before, very few bills, with the exceptions of the ones that I carry, are perfect. But you try to massage them to make them as good as possible.
What would you like to see in terms of America's policy on energy production?
All the above, and I think truly all the above. And if you take a look at the Inflation Reduction Act to push what we can do in renewables, and also push conventional resources, I think that's a smart thing to do. I think over the long term, there is no doubt that we need to get to fuels that don't create as much carbon for the atmosphere. So, you know, I'm in agriculture. Last year was the worst year we've ever had. Been on the farm for my family for 110 years. This year was the second worst, and it's because of extreme weather events and drought. And I think that if we're going to stop putting the billions and billions and billions of dollars out the door for disasters every year, it's only prudent of us to figure out a way that we can transition off of carbon-based fuels as soon as possible. But in the meantime, let's get as much in the pipeline as we possibly can, which is what I think the Inflation Reduction Act tried to do.